Colin Wellenkamp. I'm the Executive Director of the MRCTI, Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative. 11 inches of snow right outside my window here in St. Charles City, Missouri. So, and we have some mayors with some widespread power outages. So I hope everybody has stayed safe and secure through this storm. Impacted about 38 of our cities. Going to hand it over to our co-chairs in just a moment. We have a few folks still trying to sign on. So let's just give them about 30 seconds and then we can get started.
All right.
And thank you everyone for being here. While we're waiting, I'm just going to do 2 sound checks. I did hear Mayor Simmons. Mayor Simmons, you're good to go?
Yes, I'm good. Good to go.
All right. And Mayor Strickland?
Yes, I'm good to go. We're one of those cities, 25% of our cities without power right now. So it's been a crazy day and a half here.
Indeed. Hopefully you'll everyone will have power again soon.
Hey, Colin, it's Renee. I'm calling in. I'm not having luck getting on the Zoom site, but I'm here audio.
Okay. Thanks, Renee. Thanks so much for being here.
Colin, Mark Kuzma, Mayor Ramsey,
Yes, sir.
I'm online.
Thank you so much for being on, Mayor. And I am gonna go ahead and hand this off. Brant, are we good to go? No one else trying to sign on that you know of?
Yes, we are good to go.
Okay, we have about 30 plus mayors on the line from 9 states. So Mayor Strickland, I will hand it off to you.
Thank you very much, Colin. It's good to see everyone and welcome. I think it's valuable for all of us to be part of today's discussion and high-level profile regarding the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers just released spending plan for new and vital projects along the Mississippi River as appropriated through the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and the Hurricane Ida Disaster Supplemental. I am Jim Strickland, Mayor of Memphis, Tennessee, and co-chair of MRCTI. Joining me is my co-chair, Mayor Errick Simmons of Greenville, Mississippi. Now, we all know this, a vital partner to our collective work has been the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. For cities along the nation's most important waterway, resilient and ecologically sound infrastructure supporting our navigation, agriculture, manufacturing, and clean water economies is essential. Our 101 mayors have made ecological restoration and built infrastructure improvements a top priority for nearly a decade. Now, we are pleased, very pleased, that many of the projects that embody this priority are funded at scale across the vast Mississippi River corridor, totaling $5.3 billion. Mayor Simmons.
Thank you so much, Mayor Strickland, my good friend. Indeed, this is why just this Monday, MRCTI and the Waterways Council co-hosted a press conference on the value of the new Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and the Ida Supplemental that will bring to our corridor in our cities majors monies. When we're talking about monies, we're talking with a B, like my good friend Mayor Strickland just said, billions of dollars. Joining us today to lead this briefing for the Corps is Major Colonel Diana Holland. She's commander of the Mississippi Valley Division, highly decorated and an experienced, highly capable commander. General Holland has led our division since June of 2020. General Holland and her team are here to provide us a high level of spending plan as well as the more impactful project announced. General Holland, thank you so much for you and your team for being here, and the floor is now yours, General Holland.
Well, thank you, Mayor Simmons. I want to be sure you can hear me. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, super. Thank you, Mayor Simmons, Mayor Strickland. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for inviting us to participate in your meeting today. As the mayor said, I'm Major General Diana Holland. I command the Mississippi Valley Division. If you're not familiar with how our divisions are laid out, the Mississippi Valley Division encompasses both sides, a portion, the entire river basin from the headwaters of the Mississippi River down to the Gulf of Mexico. And many of the pieces and parts of the tributaries that feed into the Mississippi River. So I'm the commander of the division, and I'm also the president of the Mississippi River Commission. And I know that many of you are familiar with that body, and some of you have come and testified aboard the motor vessel Mississippi as we develop these requirements and understanding of what's needed to take care of and to protect the river and protect those who live and work along the river. So as has been mentioned, I've been in this job since the end of June of 2020. It's hard to, I feel like I lost a year somewhere in there. I think COVID has done that to me, but anyway, I've been in the job about 19 months. And in that time, I've had the opportunity to travel much of the Mississippi River, the communities that live alongside it. And really, you know, I've not lived along the Mississippi River until this job. And I have so come to appreciate what this river means to our nation, what it means for our economy, that our nation wouldn't be what it is, as prosperous as it is, have the standing in the world that it has, were it not for this river. So equally important is what the river means to you and the communities that you lead. And we know that, and that's why our relationship with this body is meant, as well as many others, where we are able to have relationships with our stakeholders and partners is so important. So it is a great river and we all benefit greatly, but that river requires tremendous investment. And you know that surely better than I do. Congress has been very generous with the Army Corps of Engineers in enabling us to do our job. Investment into navigation, flood control, environmental stewardship, recreation, and so on. And so we're very grateful for the investment, but the investment that we are just now realizing in the last couple of weeks, what's been recently announced, is truly historic, above anything that we have seen recently. You know the numbers, but I'll just repeat the big numbers from the two bills, IIJA, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, provided USACE $17.1 billion across all of its programs. The Ida Supplemental provided $5.7 billion to 4 states impacted by Ida. Our division has our portion of that for our division is pretty big. For the IIJA, it's $2.9 billion for our region. And then from the Ida Supplemental, it's $2.4 billion. And Renee Turner, as you've heard her, you heard her on the line, she's on our team and she's going to talk more in detail. But that is an extraordinary amount of money for one region in the Corps of Engineers. And that's on top of our regular appropriations and work plan money. So that's significant and all at once. Getting that level of funding required quite a team effort. Of course, we've done a lot of work in order to show what we could absorb, what kind of work could be done, what were the projects it would go to, but none of that would be possible without your support and the support of our congressional delegation. That is what has delivered on investment for the Mississippi River and the infrastructure that supports it. So we thank you for that. You know, number one, if there's one message you take from my little pitch here, it's how much we appreciate your advocacy. With great investment comes great responsibility and obligation on our part. We have a huge program to deliver now. Fortunately, we've been working on this possibility for about 4 months when we started to hear about the appetite for investing in our region. We started to look at, how are we going to double what we're doing, and with very high expectations. We can't take forever to deliver. So we've looked at being very aggressive in our recruiting efforts. We are hiring, by the way. Tell all your friends, we are hiring. All of our districts are hiring. We are setting very aggressive targets to increase our net gains in size of our organization up and down the river. So there are many opportunities, and as you know, and for those who don't know a whole lot about the Corps, you don't have to be an engineer to be in the Corps. We have many specialties in the Corps. Many people who their jobs don't require engineering degrees, but attorneys and economics and archaeologists, and I mean, you name it, there's a place for everybody in the Corps of Engineers, and we're going to need a lot of that help. We're also making some organizational modifications to ensure that we can absorb this work. If you've worked with the Corps, you know that we've got a lot of processes. And sometimes we get, at a minimum, people make fun of us for that. Of course, there's a reason for it, because it's a pretty big responsibility to be responsible for taxpayer dollars and how it's managed, how it's handled, how it's accounted for, and to be transparent with it. But we are also mindful that we are going to have to act very quickly in each and every one of our processes to be sure that we deliver. Many things are being delegated to our level from our USACE headquarters. We are at all levels looking at how we can deliver the same quality and safety that comes with everything that we do. We are transparent, that we are accountable for everything that we do, but how do we do it faster? And so those are things that we're all working on. But I'm gonna stop there, because I could go on and on about how excited I am. It's a great time to be in the Corps. It's a great time to live and be associated with the Mississippi River. And I really appreciate you inviting us to join you. I appreciate the opportunity to make a few remarks. I'll just say this, I really appreciate your leadership. These are not uncomplicated times, I guess is an understatement. The role that each of you play in your communities through these tough times, keeping people safe, and in times of great uncertainty. I have tremendous respect for you and your leadership. And I do want to make a shout out to our mayor, who's I see on the screen, Mayor Flags. Appreciate seeing you, sir. He's almost my neighbor. His office is across the street from mine. But it's great to live in Vicksburg, where I'm talking to you from. But again, thank you for your leadership, and thank you for your partnership. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Renee Turner. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Do I have an audio check?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Awesome. I'm just gonna keep it brief. Deanna Presswood is online also. She is our Mississippi River and Tributaries Program Manager. So she is going to go over the details with you, but I did want to kind of do a high level review to kind of tell you where we are. I apologize, my video is not working, but as General Holland said, total between the Ida Supplemental and the infrastructure bill, we did get $5.3 billion, I'm sorry, 2.4 billion in the Ida Supplemental and 2.9 billion in the infrastructure across multiple accounts. And Deanna will go over that with y'all. I just wanted to reiterate and emphasize that this is a lot of work to MVD and a lot of things we're very excited about. A lot of projects received money that we have been working on for many, many years. As you all know, up and down the river, Nest being one, Brandon Road being another, and then some of the work in the Mississippi River and tributaries also, Morganza to the Gulf, some things that are very important to us in the region that we can now get after and make some progress on. So we're very excited about that. In addition to these two bills and the amount of work that's coming our way because of those, we also have our regular budgeted work for the year. And then at some point, if Congress does pass an appropriations, we will also have that for the year, in addition to what we're working on for upcoming for FY23. So it's really exciting to be able to be a part of all the work that we're getting ready to do for all of you, and then supporting what you do every day too. So that's very important to us. But I'm going to turn it over to Deanna, and she's going to go through a couple of slides. She'll share the slides with you and get into a little bit more of the details by what we're seeing in each account for these two bills. And then we'll be available to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thanks, Renee. Can I get a mic check, please?
Yes, you were good.
Excellent. I'm going to share my screen, so give me one moment. All right, can you let me know if you can see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we
All
can
right,
see it.
thank you. Okay, thank you. So as Renee said, I'm going to just kind of walk you through a very high level overview of what these investments are providing us. To just be repetitive here again, over the last 90 days, we've worked very diligently to help basically determine where these funds need to go. Congress has appropriated us those unprecedented levels that Renee and General Holland have just kind of mentioned to you, but I wanted to show you just a snapshot for the last 2 decades over time of kind of what this compares to. Kind of focus your attention there to the right of the screen where you see the light pink bars. Those represent our supplemental bills. They're all the way to the far right is the $22.8 billion supplemental bill that has been provided to the Corps. Again, this is the national perspective where MVD is now receiving the $5.3 billion that was just kind of laid out to you. Again, this is historic, providing opportunity for some recapitalization, improving and advancing completion of many projects within our portfolio. But again, if you look at these bar charts, you see this is basically across the last 2 decades, we are moving forward, progressing forward. We have kind of built the case for many of these projects and finally come into fruition thanks to the advancement of both of these bills. The supplemental bill there, you see, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on these pink graphs, pink bar charts, whereas the supplemental bill for the 22.8 is the most recent. But I don't want to lose sight and remind you of the investment that we've had in the last 5 or so years from the other supplemental bills that have been provided to us to advance repairs from major flood events, hurricanes, other natural disasters that have hit our USACE federal projects. We've been working on those, and I'll give you kind of a snapshot of where we are and progressing of those funds and completing those projects. I'll go to slide 2. Renee, do you please interrupt if you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay. So this is just kind of a high-level perspective of what each of these projects that are going to receive funds. This is that breakdown of that $5.3 billion. As Renee introduced, I am the Mississippi River and Tributary Senior Program Manager, so I can talk all day about MRCTI projects. I do know a little bit about these other projects that I've learned over the last few years, so I'm going to hit those. But again, as Renee said, if you have specific questions for us, we will take some questions and answer those. But I wanted to highlight these projects specifically because these are the big dollars. Again, MRCTI is receiving $1.7 billion. As a reminder, the MRCTI project is that project on the lower Mississippi River, starting there about St. Louis and going to the Gulf and its tributaries. If this 1.7 billion is just shy of what this project has been appropriated over the last 7 years. So again, this is significant. This is doubling our budget for this year to be carried out over the next 5 to 6 years for planning. What this 1.7 billion supports is some operation and maintenance activities, about 430 million in operation and maintenance activities that are going to be specific to many of the areas that this group has purview over. That will be to address repairs from recent high waters that have impacted our revetment along the river banks. It will also be used to address stone dike structures that have been degraded over time due to major high water on the river. We will also be addressing levee slides. But significantly, which is a question we've been answering over the last few years, is what are the condition of our pump stations within the Mississippi River and tributary system? Some of this funding will be used to perform deferred maintenance that has been needed because of the overuse and higher use needs for pump stations during the major events we've had. Significant, if you remember, beginning in 2015, 2016, we had the rare winter flood that was very short-lived, but had long-term impacts. Then we followed up with an 2018 river flood, and then the long-term historical events in 2019 and 2020 that really impacted our system. And we've taken time, we have been allotted some funding to do repairs, but it's been the very critical high priority needs that were specific to the channel and the levees itself. This funding is significant because it is actually letting us address some of those deferred maintenance activities to the pump stations, removing sunken barges as a result of several of the hurricanes, repairing floodgates, removing silt and debris within the channels within our tributary systems, and also at the pump stations themselves. But it's also letting us address many of the flood control projects that we've just not been able to get to. So that was 430 million, just various O&M projects within the Valley. This bill also supports 1.3 billion in construction activities. Those construction activities are being seen across the Valley from Missouri to Louisiana, with specific needs being addressed for the MRL project. Various levee enlargements, seepage remediation is going to be addressed to work towards completing our MRL program. Much of the construction is being focused to South Louisiana. That is specific because of the way that the bill was written to support those damages from Hurricane Ida. It's going to allow us to construct many structures within the Morganza project. Morganza to the Gulf, you see there on the screen, is being funded $379 million. We're going to be moving out on construction, design and construction of several structures, but also designing and initiating construction on several critical levees within that area. I spoke to the Mississippi River levees, which are short distance from many of your offices, I'm sure. These are significant because we just finished an SEIS. Those funds were provided through our previous supplemental. So we've completed the SEIS for the Mississippi River Levee project. The timing of that has been very significant. We just completed that in January of 2021. That has allowed us to be in place to allow this bill to address those critically deficient areas along the levee that need to be raised and addressed. Approximately 80 miles of construction are going to be completed under this bill, under these bills for the levee project. We talked about navigation. Several dikes will be constructed within the project. These are at areas where we have significant shoaling or sediment deposition buildup in the system, where we are continually sending our dredges out to move sediment. This is an excellent opportunity for us to kind of curb and slow down some of our dredging needs by building these dikes for long-term movement of sediment within the valley. So this is really good news for our navigation industry. And then for the revetments, this is protecting and armoring the banks there along the river and protecting the toes of the levees. numerous new construction extensions of the articulated concrete mat. That is where the mat sinking unit comes and lays and armors the bank. 27 locations will be addressed. Now, all of those are in the South Louisiana area. Again, that is due to the way that the bills were written in support of Hurricane Ida damages. There are also many tributary improvements. They're going to be funded to complete construction within the St. Francis Basin there in the states of Arkansas and Missouri. That is various bank stabilization work, channel enlargement, channel cleanouts that have been needed over many years. These projects will help the carrying capacity within the tributary system during not only high water events on the main river, but also localized flooding within those tributaries. We'll also be addressing and completing the works of the Upper Yazoo Basin project there in the state of Mississippi in the Mississippi Delta. All right, I know I threw a lot at you all, but I wanted to kind of give you just the quick highlights there of the MR&T projects. Moving on to the other significant projects that are funded, we've got the New Orleans to Venice project. Again, this is part of the response to Hurricane Ida. This is a project that the funding here, $783 million, is significant to complete the authorized work on the east and west banks of Plaquemines Parish. This is some flood and storm damage risk reduction project levee construction to provide a increased level of protection. Also being funded is the Southeast Louisiana project. Again, this project is probably something you've heard and familiar with. This has been an ongoing project. Significant here is that it's going to complete one of the construction projects that is currently underway, but also initiate and complete several other features of work that have been on the back burner for the last few years. This project provides risk reduction up to a 10-year rainfall event. Again, that is similar to the tributary work on MR&T. This is the increasing the carrying capacity within those flooded areas with the use of canals and other pump stations. Again, the next project being the Southwest Coastal Project. This is a dual purpose project in the areas of Calcasieu, Cameron, and Vermilion parishes there in South Louisiana. Again, both of these projects are significant to those damages incurred from Hurricane Ida. This is a non-structural project that includes elevating and providing local flood protection, raising approximately 500 to 1,000 homes for flood protection, but also providing commercial and public buildings, warehouses with that flood protection through that flood protection program. The next project that you see listed here is the Upper Miss Illinois Waterway project. That is approximately $829 million to complete the design and initiate construction for both fish passage and lock replacement at Lock 25. That's very significant work. I've heard rumblings, Renee and I've talked some as a good news story that has been felt across that region. The Fargo Moorhead project and Souris River projects will both be funded to complete the construction. Same for Brandon Road. Significant here on the screen, you'll notice these red projects. Those are new start projects, new start construction projects. These are new invested projects to move that construction forward, but also complete the projects. And then lastly, the investment of the environmental infrastructure at about 56 million. And that is our various projects throughout our basin to support wastewater treatment improvement, drinking water system improvements, coordination for current and future projects, sewage rehabilitation, and other various projects across the valley. All right, Renee, anything else? I know I threw a lot at everyone. I just want to reach out and see if Renee's got anything she would like to add to any of those.
Yeah, I'll just add, as most of you probably already know, significant on this list. These are just some of the high level things that we've been working on a while, as I said, but the new starts. We, in our regular cycles of budgets and appropriations, we rarely see very many new starts in our portfolio. So that is very significant to receive those so we can get to construction.
All right, thanks, Renee. So moving to the next slide, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of news about these new funds that are being brought into the system. And those, that is historical, significant. We are very excited about those. But I wanted to kind of shed some light on work that we've had going on through prior supplemental bills. This is just a slide here that shows that over time, since 2017, MVD has received approximately $4 billion in additional supplemental bills. That is significant. As you see there, the call outs, the green call outs of the unobligated funding, that totals about $336 million. So $4 billion that has been appropriated and funded to Mississippi Valley Division for other supplemental repairs. And again, I won't read all of these, but these are those public laws that are supporting various disasters. We are reaching the end of those. We only have $336 million remaining to fund to completion. Now, some of this is ongoing work, significant to various parts of the valley, mostly along the main stem, but other areas that were impacted. Again, it kind of shows that while it is much more higher, significant, and historical, we're kind of used to these funding. We're ready to attack. We've gone through the process. We know how to work as a region to address the funding that we've received. So while this is new in theory and it is a big number, MVD is poised and postured to address and to start working efficiently and aggressively towards investing the funds that we've been provided. There, I want to highlight for the MRCTI, I think I spoke to it earlier, but for MRCTI, there's two ongoing in the green column there at the bottom. There's two ongoing projects that you may or may not be familiar with the Mississippi River levee project. We completed the SEIS, so that is significant to those cities there south of St. Louis, where we are investing in the completion of the MRL through these funds, but also we are constructing a new Armor 1, which is allowing us to move more efficiently to construct and place the revetment and protect the banks there along the river. Again, those two projects, while they are standalone projects, they are integral in providing the flood protection in that lower valley, again, to address and support not only the navigation, but the agricultural, the flood control there for your cities and your municipalities. All right, so I'm going to move to the last slide here. Again, these are a little bit more details to provide to you, just kind of a snapshot of what these bills are providing. Again, public law there for the disaster relief. Again, those are significant to Ida. So you will see the states that are listed there where those funds are going. For Mississippi Valley Division, these funds are going mostly to the Louisiana area. However, we are being funded under the Mississippi River and Tributaries Project. There are some funds that are being used to complete construction, as I spoke to earlier, along the levee system, through channel improvement, the St. Francis Basin there in Arkansas, Missouri, and also in the Yazoo Basin along the Upper Yazoo Project and the Big Sunflower Projects. Those are mostly bank stabilization works. But again, most of that work is going to the state of, and our division to the state of Louisiana. And then the Infrastructure and Jobs Acts, is we kind of highlighted those new start projects, but also the other projects that have been ongoing. Significant there is that it is moving us toward completion of many projects. It's getting things off of our books, off the shelves that our planning teams have been working on in association with many of you and many stakeholders in your area. It's showing progress to moving those forward. And again, I've kind of hit most of these. I won't repeat those. I just wanted to provide those here for you for your view and open up for some follow-on questions.
Well, thank you so much. Wonderful, detailed, high-level presentation. And so, General Holland, and to all your members of your team for that briefing, we want to sincerely thank you on behalf of Mississippi River cities and towns and the many mayors that represent the states in the Mississippi River Basin. We will now open the floor to questions from our mayors. When you ask your question, if you could state your name and state the city that you represent, that would be appreciated. I can get us started. For my city of Greenville, environmental justice as a project priority is critical. Can the core team give us some more details on how these projects regarding environmental justice factors, how did they come into play in selecting these projects regarding the IIJA? I'm sorry about this. All right. Can you answer that question? And we'll open it up, and I see Mayor Strickland with his hand up, but you can answer that question.
Yes, ma'am. I can take that if you want me to. Not sure she's still on. Okay, this is Renee. I will tell you that is something that we do look at in our
Good.
submissions for IIJA or any of our funding plans. We do identify which projects do meet the environmental justice criteria that has been set up by the administration. So we do provide that information that is discussed at the Army and administration level, and those things are taken into consideration.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Mayor Strickland.
Sure, I've got two questions. Do y'all have an itemization by location, state or city, on where the projects are?
Yes, we do. We can provide you the link. Our headquarters team did when they released the information to the public on the 19th of January, 18th or 19th of January. It is all itemized. Every project is itemized by state. So we can provide that to the link to you so you can look at the public information.
Thank you. My second question is, it looked like you had about $200 million for environmental infrastructure. Our group has a partnership with Ducks Unlimited to deploy 66,000 acres for disaster absorption. Is there any way, do you think, that our projects can work with yours? And so there's a joint benefit and basically get more benefit for all our dollars.
Your program, I think Anna mentioned it briefly, that is really specific to water and wastewater. So those are specific projects in communities to assist with upgrades or rehabilitation or things like that to their current ongoing systems. As far as disaster support, we do have some FEMA. We do partner with FEMA on a lot of that. We would just have to find out what your specifics are. Some things, we can use our money in conjunction with, but some things we're prohibited from doing so.
Okay.
We would just have to know the specifics of those.
Thank you very much. We will get you that information. Thank you.
Thank you so
Renee,
much. Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to add that, we work in close coordination with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, particularly on the MRCTI projects. So we do participate in many of their regional kind of summits and meetings that they have and planning and the use of those funds. So yeah, we definitely reach out with them and find out how we can partnership with them to complete some of our work and some of theirs.
Thank you so much. We have a question from our immediate past co-chair, my good friend, Mayor Bob Gallagher. Mayor.
Thanks, Your Honor. Great to see you. Wish we were
Yes,
in
sir.
person here coming up, but we'll do what we can.
Yes.
Bob Gallagher, Mayor of the City of Bettendorf, Iowa. How can we work with your team at a more detailed level to engage in the design of the projects that we seek so we can ensure our own projects coordinate and complement yours, incorporating natural infrastructure, which is a top priority of yours? What it would be a process for us to work on a more detailed level with you folks?
I think, that reaching out to your local district office, I mean, for you, that would be the Rock Island District. But we can certainly set up some meetings or sessions or events for us to talk through those things with you. If there's something specifically on a project that we're working on, and maybe you could partner or coordinate with whoever the non-federal sponsor is from that perspective, and get your views on some things that are important to you.
Okay, I think we've all attempted anyway to develop good relationships with our local folks, and we certainly have here at the Arsenal. So if that's the easiest way to go about it, at least then we as mayors know, go local first before we push it your direction. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions from any mayors at this time? Colin, would you like to add anything?
Sorry, Mayor, looking for the mute button.
Yes, sir.
No, I don't think so. I think this has been a very beneficial overview. I guess I would kind of echo Mayor Strickland and Mayor Gallagher's concern. We are deploying quite a bit of projects at association scale with partners, and we'd like to, 66,000 acres that Mayor Strickland talked about, that's sort of just the beginning. And these are all different types of natural infrastructure assets that we're working with DU on, not just wetlands, but reconnecting backwater and moving water into meander scar areas. Mayor Eastern in East St. Louis has a big project with DU to extend the capacity of Horseshoe Lake so that backwater flooding trying to get to the Mississippi through his town goes to Horseshoe Lake instead of basements of his residents. And that's a bit of a common theme up and down the river for a lot of our cities. So we just like to make sure that, the $5 billion that's being deployed through these two major spending vehicles, Ida and the Jobs Act, complement what we're doing, and we complement what the Corps is doing, so that there's not 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or half step back. So I guess I would echo Mayor Gallagher and Mayor Strickland's concerns for coordination and a way to be as much on the same page as possible, because we want to make sure these core projects do as much as they possibly can, because as Deanna said, and Renee and General Holland, everybody said, this is historic. So we want to make the most out of this opportunity as we can with our cities.
I agree, and I think we have some more questions. And just to add to that, Colin, and what Mayor Strickland, Mayor Gallagher both said, we have a number of projects, not only with the Corps, but with a lot of other agencies as well. And this is historic, and we do want to thank the Biden administration for this historic investment of this. But it's critically important what we're doing to scale on the Mississippi River Basin, but also what our individual cities are doing from a macro level and coordinating with those projects, but also with the other agencies for vertical and horizontal integration with other agencies as well to make sure that we address climate change and resiliency with these projects. So I totally agree with you. I see Anthony with his hand up. Anthony, you can go ahead and ask your question right now.
Anthony Huddleston. I'm Mayor of Riverdale, Iowa. So we have
Hey,
a
Mayor.
existing levy system, and it is significantly lower than our neighbor there, the Honorable Mayor Gallagher's system. We would definitely be interested in like that CAP 205 program. However, we have a borrowing limit from the state that the 65-35 cost share makes it pretty challenging. So I don't know if there's any options in this new funding sources to look at different alternatives with that funding.
Yeah, there are some CAP projects included in the infrastructure bill. They do follow the same legislative requirements as the regular, if they're funded in a regular program. There are no other provisions that have any other kind of relief for cost sharing or anything like that. It's the same requirements. But you may could partner with someone. I know there are other federal monies out there. Some federal grants we are allowed to accept as cost share, some not. But there may be some assistance by partnering with someone else, whether local, state, or federal, to help you out with that.
Where to look for that, I would certainly appreciate it.
Yeah, the district should be able to, steer you in the right direction. Every district has a project manager that just does CAP projects, so most all of them are very, very familiar with the requirements and how to work with the local communities, because we do see this a lot in our region, and some communities not being able to cost share, and so they do have they know where to go with helping you figure that out.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other questions at this time? Thank you. All right. Seeing none, we want to thank all of you all, and I'm just scrolling across the Zoom list now to see the hands raised. Okay. I don't see any right now. So thank you all so much for this high level discussion with the committee, the general and her team, and also all of you wonderful mayors and what you're doing at a local level to improve the quality of life of the folks that you represent. God bless all of you and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Colin, anything else?
Just for General Holland and Deanna and Renee, just so you're aware, we will have our Capitol meeting on March 8th, 9th, and 10th. We're angling for our matinee discussion with the Corps to be on the afternoon of March 8th to kick us off. This is a virtual meeting. Hopefully it's our final virtual meeting. Or at least final 100% virtual meeting. We may have hybrids in the future, but I think we're done with the Zoom, and this will be the last one. But we hope to engage with you further. It's about 5 weeks from now, so this process may be further along, and there may be additional developments that we can talk about. I will reiterate, Mayor Simmons brought up an excellent point. We have projects going on with other agencies like USGS and EPA as well on the river. And again, if what those projects are trying to achieve can complement what you're doing and vice versa, all the greater value. So, and we may be able to get into that more in March. So, thank you so much, the folks at the Corps. And thank you, Mayor Strickland and Mayor Simmons.
Thank y'all so much. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.